Every material in your front yard is telling a story about time. On install day, most materials look pretty much the same. Fresh, clean, uniform in color. Then time gets involved. 2 years pass, 5 years, 10, and the materials in your yard start telling a very different story than the one they told on install day. Some fade, crack, warp, or discolor in ways nobody warned you about. Others quietly develop character, texture, and patina that make them look better every single year. The gap between those two categories is enormous, and most homeowners have no idea which category their materials fall into until the failure is already visible. Today, I'm walking you through the 10 front yard materials that age terribly and the 5 that actually look better every single year. The last material on the good list is the single most beautifully aging material you can install in 2026, and most homeowners never even consider it. Let's start with the ones that age worst. Ages terribly 10 bright white vinyl fencing. We're starting with the material that looks perfect on install day and dates fastest. Bright white vinyl fencing. The vinyl itself doesn't rot, and manufacturers use that as their main selling point, but vinyl fades. Within 3 to 5 years, the bright white takes on a chalky yellow-cream tint that can't be reversed. Cleaning doesn't help. Repainting doesn't work. Paint won't bond to vinyl properly. All-right white vinyl fence in America eventually reaches the same yellowed appearance, and buyers register it as aged. The alternative is powder-coated aluminum or natural wood. Both age more gracefully. Ages terribly 9 cheap composite deck boards. Composite decking promised a maintenance-free future. Early generation composite boards did not deliver. They fade dramatically in direct sun. They stain permanently under planter drips. They warp in temperature swings. Repair is nearly impossible because the color of aged composite never matches new boards. Higher-end composite from top manufacturers holds up better, but most residential installations use the budget product, and those are the ones showing failure now. If your composite decking is older and already showing the fade, replacement is usually the honest fix. Ages terribly 8 powder-coated metal in salt or coastal air. Powder-coated black metal fixtures, lanterns, mailbox posts, railings look modern and clean on install day. In dry inland climates, they hold up for a decade or more. In coastal air or areas that use road salt in winter, they start rusting through the coating within 2 to 3 years. Small brown bubbles appear. The powder coat lifts. Rust bleeds down the surface. Once powder coating fails, the only real fix is stripping it back to bare metal, expensive and rarely done. The alternative for salt-exposed properties is stainless steel or genuinely galvanized metal. Both survive the environment. Ages terribly 7 pressure-treated pine in direct ground contact. Pressure-treated pine is the standard budget wood for outdoor projects. It resists rot better than untreated wood, but it doesn't resist it forever. In direct ground contact fence posts buried in soil, retaining wall timbers, deck posts on damp ground pressure, treated pine typically starts failing at the ground line within 7 to 10 years. The wood above ground looks fine. The buried portion is quietly rotting, and by the time the failure is visible, the entire structure is compromised. The alternative is proper concrete footings that keep wood out of soil contact, or upgrading to cedar, redwood, or steel posts for the buried portions. Ages terribly 6 stamped concrete with colored sealer. Stamped concrete uses a colored sealer to give plain concrete the appearance of stone or brick. The sealer is where the whole system fails. Colored sealer fades unevenly under UV exposure. Within 5 to 7 years, the driveway or patio shows patchy areas where the color has washed out. Resealing is expensive, technically difficult, and rarely matches the original color exactly. Most homeowners end up with permanent, uneven fading that can't be repaired without full resurfacing. Plain concrete without colored sealer ages. More honestly, it stays what it is, and buyers understand exactly what they're getting. Ages terribly 5 cedar or redwood left unsealed. Cedar and redwood are premium woods for a reason. Left unsealed, though, they surrender that premium quality within 2 years. Both woods turn silvery gray within 18 to 24 months of installation. Some homeowners like the weathered look. Most find it makes the yard red as unmaintained rather than rustic. Once cedar or redwood has fully weathered to gray, restoring the original color requires stripping and refinishing, a job that costs nearly as much as the original installation. If you install cedar or redwood, commit to sealing it every 2 to 3 years. If you won't, choose a material that ages gracefully without maintenance. Ages terribly. 4. Bright red dyed mulch. The dyed red mulch that homeowners spread every spring. The dye is the entire product. It's what makes the mulch that unnaturally vivid red on install day, and it's what makes the mulch look terrible by midsummer. The dye fades within one growing season into a washed-out pink-gray that reads instantly as cheap to anyone who understands landscaping. The mulch itself doesn't build soil the way natural mulch does, and the color never returns without complete replacement every spring. Natural dark brown or black shredded hardwood mulch fades to a still attractive weathered brown that continues to look intentional for the full growing season. Ages terribly. 3. Plastic edging. The black plastic strip edging sold in 20-foot rolls at hardware stores. Plastic edging fails almost immediately. Frost heaves it out of the ground every winter. Lawnmower wheels pop it loose. The plastic itself becomes brittle in UV exposure and cracks within 3 years. And once it starts failing, it looks worse than no edging at all. A broken plastic line running through the yard. Steel edging costs 3 to 4 times more upfront and lasts 30 to 40 years without failing. Stone edging costs more still, but genuinely lasts a lifetime. The one place plastic edging never belongs is a front yard people will actually see. Ages terribly. 2. Standard asphalt without regular sealing. Asphalt driveways can last 25 to 30 years when they're sealed every 2 to 3 years. Skipped seal coats accelerate every asphalt failure mode. Small cracks turn into wide cracks turn into potholes. Water works its way into the base. The surface begins to alligator into a network of interconnected cracks that can't be spot repaired. Most residential asphalt is installed and then completely ignored. And the accelerated aging is dramatic. The same driveway that could have lasted 3 decades often fails at 15 years or less. If asphalt is what you have, commit to the seal schedule or plan for early replacement. Ages terribly. 1. Interior grade materials used outside. The biggest single materials mistake in residential landscaping. Interior grade fixtures and finishes installed outside where they were never designed to survive. Indoor pendant lights hung on a porch. Interior grade paint used on a front door. Standard drywall screws holding up a fence post. Interior rated house numbers mounted outside. Every one of these will fail within 1 to 2 years because interior materials are designed for climate-controlled interior conditions. UV exposure destroys them. Temperature swings warp them. Moisture penetrates them, and the failure often looks worse than the original material would have. Every single fixture, screw, sealant, and finish you install outside must be rated for exterior use. This one rule prevents most premature material failure in residential landscaping. Now we flip. If this video has been helpful so far, hit the like button. It really helps the channel. And stay with me, because the next 5 materials are the ones that actually get more beautiful every year they age. Better every year. 1. Real cedar or redwood, sealed properly. We're starting with the material most homeowners write off after seeing what unsealed cedar becomes. Sealed cedar or redwood is one of the most beautiful aging materials in residential landscaping. The critical detail is a quality UV-resistant exterior sealer applied on install day and refreshed every 2 to 3 years. Sealed properly, cedar and redwood develop a rich, warm, slightly weathered patina that improves for decades. The wood grain deepens, the color mellows without turning gray. Fences, pergolas, and posts age into something more valuable looking than they were on install day. The maintenance is real, a weekend every 2 or 3 years. But the alternative is either the silver gray failure of unsealed wood or the fake wood grain of composite alternatives. Real sealed wood is worth the commitment. Nothing else looks quite like it after 10 years. Better every year. 2. Corten steel and weathering metal. Corten steel is the material that was engineered to rust. The rust isn't failure, it's the intended surface. Corten develops a stable protective layer of rust that stops the underlying steel from corroding further, and the color is remarkable, a rich, warm, textured orange-brown that reads as modern industrial and only gets more character-rich each year. Homeowners use Corten for planters, retaining walls, edging, garden sculptures, and modern fence panels. The upfront cost is real, usually 2 to 3 times more than standard steel, but the maintenance is essentially zero. No painting, no sealing. And the aesthetic returns are dramatic. A cordon planter that costs $300 in year 1 is often the most photographed feature in the yard by year 10. Buyers who understand materials recognize it immediately as premium. For the right property, cordon is one of the most consistently rewarding material investments in modern landscaping. Better every year. 3. Real natural stone. Real natural stone bluestone, granite, fieldstone, flagstone is the material every high-end designer specifies for good reason. Natural stone lasts 50 to 100 years. Individual pieces can be lifted and reset if a section shifts. The color deepens as the stone weathers. Moss and lichen sometimes develop in shaded joints, which most designers consider a feature. The upfront cost is significant, usually 20 to 50% more than stamped concrete or standard pavers. But the return over any meaningful ownership window is dramatic. Real stone reads as expensive from 10 feet away. Appraisers document it as higher quality than any concrete alternative, and the visual quality improves for decades while other materials are already failing. If your budget allows real stone in even one high visibility area, the front walkway, the porch steps, an accent wall, that single choice will keep paying visual returns for the entire time you own the home. Better every year. 4. Solid copper fixtures. Copper is one of the most alive materials in residential landscaping. Fresh copper is a bright orange pink that most homeowners assume is the material's final color. It isn't. Over the first year, copper darkens to a rich brown. Over 3 to 5 years, it develops the characteristic green-blue patina that reads as centuries old. Every stage of that aging process is beautiful. Copper landscape lights, house numbers, mailbox letters, downspouts, and accent fixtures all follow this aging arc. And unlike most other metals, the patina doesn't compromise the material it protects it. Copper installed 100 years ago is still functional today. The upfront cost is real copper fixtures often cost 3 to 5 times what powder-coated aluminum equivalents cost, but the ownership window is essentially unlimited. That brings us to the material that ages more beautifully than any other in residential landscaping. Better every year. 5. Mature living plants and trees. This is the material most homeowners don't think of as a material. Living plants and trees, given time to mature, are the single most beautifully aging feature you can install in a front yard. No other material comes close. A specimen tree planted at 6 feet tall becomes a 15-foot canopy in 5 years, and a 25-foot mature centerpiece in 10. Foundation shrubs planted with proper spacing grow into each other, creating the mature filled-in look no new landscaping can fake. Perennials return each spring stronger. Climbing roses on a trellis go from thin canes to a fully covered feature. Every other material on this list eventually peaks and declines. Living plants are the only material that continues improving for decades. Every year adds character. Every year adds value. The upfront cost is modest, often a few $100s for the right plants installed thoughtfully, but the return builds compound value in a way no manufactured material can match. If you install nothing else in your front yard this year, plant something that will grow. So those are the 10 materials that age: terribly bright white vinyl, cheap composite decking, powder-coated metal in salt air, pressure-treated pine in ground contact, stamped concrete, unsealed cedar and redwood, dyed red mulch, plastic edging, unsealed asphalt, and interior-grade materials used outside. And the 5 that look better every year: sealed cedar and redwood, corten steel, real natural stone, solid copper fixtures, and mature living plants. Time is the honest evaluator. Install day tells you what a material promises. Year 10 tells you what it actually is. If this changed how you'll think about your next materials decision, hit the like button. And if you haven't seen my video on the 5 driveway choices you'll regret and the 5 that add real value, that video is on the screen. Watch it next. See you there.